So this video is actually jazz guitar lesson number 100. So thank you to you guys who've been following me, and especially to those who support me on Patreon. So I think in the future I might focus more on transcription and analyzing solos. Still gonna do books because I love books. But if you have any requests on what you want to see, what you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. And I don't think I'm gonna number my videos anymore because it's a bit redundant. In this video, I want to talk some more about this holy grail of jazz books. It's the Almanac of Guitar Voice Leading. I have talked about it in a previous video and I will link to it below. I only covered triads, which is like the first chapters in this book. Somebody asked me to make another video and kind of go into more detail on what he's talking about in this book. So I shall look at 4-part chords, and so I'll see if I can explain some more what is going on in this book. Yeah, let's get right into it. So this book consists of a bunch of different chord types and all the different ways you can voice those chords, the different drop voicings, as it were. And also there's a bunch of cycles, 7 different cycles of chord movements or bass motion, I guess. And interestingly is that if you go through all these cycles, you have exhausted every possible combination of chord movements. So if we have a chord in the key of C, C major, D minor, E minor, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, and B split, C. Those are the chords in this, the 4-part chords in the key of C major. Again, if you go through all these cycles, there's every possible chord going to another chord, if you know what I mean. So first let's look at the voicings we're going to use. So first we have a closed voicing. That's a C major 7 closed position, right? Or closed voicing. Meaning there's no gap between any of the notes. Easy to play on the piano, very tricky on guitar. Not this one, but as soon as we do the inversions, we get into fingering issues. So he does cover these, but I'm gonna skip it. I don't wanna look at that too much because I don't wanna hurt myself. So first we create a drop 2 voicing. So meaning we take the second note from the top, namely the G. We drop it an octave down and keep the other 2. So instead of, we have, most of you know what I'm talking about here. If you have no idea what drop voicings are, that's probably, then you might want to take a look at that before you watch this video. I haven't done a video on where I cover the different drop voicings. I might do that in the future. So anyway, if we take the middle set of strings, the A, D, G, and B string, we play the drop 2 voicings, we get this. Inversions. Sorry. Now, that's the default chord we're gonna use for this exercise. Now we need a cycle. I'm gonna pick cycle 4 from his book. Cycle 4 is moving in fifths or fourths or however you wanna look at it. So if you take fourths and create a bass line, you get all the 7th notes of the scale, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back. You could keep going. So many tunes obviously has this chord progression. You know, there's too many tunes to mention. Now, if I play this cycle with every chord in root position, that is very bad voice leading. Imagine if you had a choir that were going to sing this. They're not going to sing one, like the soprano and the alto and so on. That's not how you write for a choir or any orchestra for that matter. So we shouldn't play like that. I'm obviously exaggerating. Nobody plays like that. But what I'm trying to get to is what we need to do, which is we need to find the closest movement from one chord to another. So from C to F would be this. So I'm going from root position to the inversion, which is the second inversion of F. But I'm not thinking about that. In this book, he gives us a bunch of esoteric symbols here and there, at the bottom here. I guess that's what somebody was asking me, what all this means. It's not too generous with explaining what it is. He talks a bit about it in the beginning of the book, where he's saying like you need to figure it out for yourself, which is, I think, a great teaching technique, right? It's much better if I figure it out myself rather than somebody explaining it to me. But however, what he's showing you first is the intervallic voice leading from this chord to the next. So what happens here is that the two outer voices are staying, and the inner voices are going down one diatonic step. Well, it's just, of course, it's just when we're starting in this, with this chord, that is going to be the outer voices. It's going to change on depending what inversion you start on. But the third and the root are staying, and the seventh and the fifth are going down one diatonic step. That means that we're on this chord now. Now the third and the seventh, the third and the root, which are now the inner voices, they're gonna stay, and the two outer voices gonna move down. And then same procedure. Gonna change set of strings. So I'm not even thinking about what chord I'm playing necessarily. I'm thinking how the voices are moving according to in the scale, right? It's moving down. Which voices are moving and which are staying? I'm focusing in on that, which I guess is the objective of this exercise. All of a sudden, I'm aware of voice leading rather than one chord shape to another. Then he's also talking about functional voice leading, which is thinking that the third becomes the seventh of the next chord, the seventh becomes the third, and so on. And lastly, he is showing you which melody note, what's happening in the melody. We have the melody note, which would be the top note, right, is staying. If you want to create melodies, right? Then, of course, he does the same thing with two more scales, the melodic minor and the harmonic minor. So let's take the harmonic minor, do the exact same thing that I just did. So it's going to be the same procedure, right? The outer voices are going to stay, C minor major 7, and move the inner voices. We get an F minor, So B diminished, E flat major 7 sharp 5. The inner voices stay, the outers move, which gives us an A flat major 7 to D split to G to C minor major 7. A little bit more tricky and mysterious, but well worth the effort. So this could give you ideas for composing. I've written a tune actually where I was basing it off of this kind of cycle. Anyway, then he goes through all the different other drop chords. So drop 3, which is this, right? Drop the third note. And there's 2 more or 3 more drops that he does. I'm not gonna go over them here. So when you've gone through all of that, all of the different drop voicings, all the different scales, the 3 scales, every 7th cycle, and plus the triads in the beginning, you are like about halfway through the book. Now you're asking, what the hell is the rest of the book about? Different chord types. So instead of a 4-part chords, he's talking about something he calls triad over bass notes. So if we had this as our default chord before, he takes this now, which is a kind of a G over C. Now the inversions are going to be crazy. If you go through the same cycle with these voicings, now everything is changing, because now the voices are going to go in different directions. So the next chord we're going to is this, right? C over F, then F over B, then B diminished over E, and so on. Now it's going to be a whole lot more trickier to think about what you're doing. So first of all, I'm going to change to this set of strings. G over C, the next one is C over F. But the bass note is not going to be on the bottom, right? Because that's only going to happen in one inversion. So here we have C over F. So here, the second note, the root is staying. The second note is going up a second. The 7th note is going down a third. And the 5th is going down a second. So now the voices are going in different directions. So I'm just going to play through the cycle. You hear what it sounds like. Okay, so that's a whole lot trickier. Imagine now that you do all those voicings with all the different drops, voicings in all the scales, all the keys, and then there's even one more chord type in this book. then there are 2 more books in this series. So there you have it, folks, a lifetime of work. I hope that explains a little bit more about this book, and I shall see you next time.